you've been listening to the news,
Yes,
so you
yes,
know that Galen University has a new president, one that's well known to
Milestone
us.
RSV.
Well known to us, and so this morning that will be the topic of our discussion, talking a little bit about Galen University. And in with us we have some folks who know quite a bit about what's been happening.
Absolutely.
We've been joined by Dr. Cynthia Eve Aird. She's the provost at Galen, and Dr. Marcelino Avila, the chairman of the board of trustees, and the new president, Dr. Rene. Villanueva.
So we put them on the couch. We flip
Yeah,
the
so
script.
I must say it feels a bit strange to be sitting on this side of the morning show as against that side of
But the chair is comfortable, right?
Huh?
The chair is
It's
comfortable.
comfortable, and maybe I should
You
relax even a little more.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
So
Feel right at home.
feel at home and maybe we just relax a little bit, and, you know.
Yeah.
But usually we are on that side, and
Yes.
We know.
Yes. Yes. Well, what I do, I go with Dr. Aird. Give us a little bit of a history about Galen. We know it's been around. We hear it all the time as one of the most recognized universities in Belize, along with the University of Belize, because I don't want to be accused that we're trumping anybody. But nonetheless, give us a little insight of how the whole growth of Galen first came about and how where it is right now.
Well, my history with Galen started in the summer of 2003.
Oh, wow, 20 years ago.
Yes, on the 1st of August in 2002, the charter with between Galen and the government of Belize was signed. And over the course of that year, I began hearing things about this new university that was opening. And one day, I live out in the Kaya district near Sokots, and one day I was driving on the road driving to work, and I saw a banner over what I knew to be a family home introducing Galen University. And something went off in my head. I think I was at a point in change and in my life, and I wrote to the address that was given and asked if I could visit with them to find out more about the university. And I walked in, visited with them, and walked out with a job.
There you go.
I was the first Belizean faculty member hired during the summer of 2003, and on the 1st of August I stood there to welcome our first students.
Oh, wow.
My first class, I always tell my students, my first class had 3 students in there.
Okay.
That's no longer the case, and I think that first entering class might have been 17 people or so. We now have at this moment we're enrolling students right now, and our enrollment stands at about 650 for the spring semester. Galen has gone through some changes over its lifetime, and I think that everything that has happened to the university, like every challenge that we have, is an opportunity for us to continue to grow and to excel. And Galen has done that. We're in a very good place in our development. We are recognized both in Belize and around the world. We have students who graduate from Galen with our Galen University degrees. We did have a dual degree relationship with the University of Indianapolis, but that expired in 2017. And students from Galen University go to Taiwan, they go to different European countries, they go to Britain as shivering scholars to different universities. We have students who go to Canada. We just had a few students who came back from spending a semester at Trent University in Canada under what is called an Emerging Leaders of the Americas program, a scholarship program funded by the Canadian government. And we also receive students from Canada for a 2-week intensive experience, and we have received students from all over for study abroad experiences with us. So we're in a good place, and with the appointment of a president for the first time since 2014, I think that we are in an even better place. And along with his appointment and the election of Dr. Avila by the Board of Trustees as the chairperson, we are poised to continue soaring as eagles.
Greater heights.
Yes.
Very quickly, in terms of the accreditation component, how does it stack up in terms of accreditation and its
Well,
strata in the whole educational
Galen University at
levels?
this point is not accredited.
Okay.
Neither is, apart from St. John's College, which gets its programs recognized through its Jesuit relationships. None of the institutions in Belize are accredited. But Belize is about the government, the Ministry of Education is about to establish the National Accreditation Council of Belize.
Okay.
And I think it is very fair to say that all universities, including Galen, in fact, we were one of the people that led the movement for a quality assurance process in Belize, and that along with other other members of ATLIB, we have been strong advocates for the establishment of the National Accreditation Council of Belize. It is going to be a major challenge for us and other institutions to be recognized and to be accredited by the council, because it requires, if we have not been doing so already, but we have, it requires a change of behavior, a change of how we do things, a change of how we fund our programs, a requirement that we have solid standards and quality assurance, quality control processes in place, so that we meet the established standards of the Accreditation Council. But it is in the kind of people that we hire to teach our programs, we have to make sure that we have the best qualified faculty to teach to develop our programs, to deliver them to the standards set by the Accreditation Council, but more importantly, to the standards that we set for ourselves. It's not that we're getting an Accreditation Council so we know how to do things, but we are required to set high standards, and we must measure up to those standards that we set for ourselves, and the Accreditation Council reviews us against what we say we do to make sure that we are doing that. So institutions aren't accredited yet in Belize. UB, I believe, is working towards being accredited by SACS in the United States. Accreditation, external accreditation is a very expensive, accreditation on a whole is an expensive process. External accreditation is expensive. During the pandemic, when everybody else was shut down, we spent the pandemic developing our quality assurance processes, our quality assurance framework, our standards that we wanted, the profile of our Galen graduate, and so on. And so, you know, everything came to a stop during the pandemic.
Yes,
we didn't stop.
true.
We didn't, and so we just continued working.
If I could add a little bit here.
Sure.
Go ahead,
Doctor.
It's
No,
one
go
of the
ahead,
important.
I'm listening.
It's one of the important functions of the Board of Trustees, that we always want to ensure that the quality of the programs are at the level that we say, to be able to fulfill our academic and technical, or let's say organizational objectives. And therefore, in this respect, we always have to promote excellence in our programs and our teaching resources, but most importantly also in maintaining the quality of the programs in the way we execute them and we go through with the students. But also it has to do with the services that are offered to students and parents. It has to do with the infrastructure that have to be of a certain level. And therefore we have to see as well, even though we may not have a quality assurance program in Belize, we have to make sure that it matches the standards of existing and well-known universities abroad, regionally and internationally. And there are standards that we follow. For example, in reviewing a course, we always try to see what other universities are doing and what kind of programs they have, and what will be important to be a leader in that area if we want to get into it. And therefore, that is one of the important roles of the Board of Trustees, because we should be more academic, more scientific, and also be in touch with the state of the arts as possible, so that our graduates will be able to capture all that expertise and try to apply it to the needs and the problems and challenges of Belize. And sometimes we fail in that. We learn what we have to learn outside and we want to apply it immediately here, and we find out that it doesn't work.
Enough research wasn't done.
Make it localized.
Exactly.
Pretty much what we were talking about this morning, Troy, when we were referring to the Right Honorable George Price, you know, and that speech he gave way back in 1965, where he said that the learning should start at home, and from the familiar to the unfamiliar. That's where we should be going. And Galen's mission, of course, its commitment is always to excellence, like Doc and the provost are saying. And the mission statement says it very clearly that Galen is a Belizean university. It's a Belizean university with a global reach and offers responsive, cutting-edge programs through experiential learning, service, and research delivered by a dynamic faculty for the development of lifelong learners. And that's Galen's mission statement. And so we remain committed to that mission statement.
So let us say congratulations to your appointment, taking up the post 9 years in the making, thereabouts, right?
Yes.
Give us a little insight in terms of your own personal feeling. I know you've been involved with the university as the chair of the board of trustees, because we'll ask for a distinction between that and the board of directors a bit later. But give us a little feel about what went through your mind and all of that, because now you're kind of like in a position now that there's more responsibility that is bestowed upon you.
Actually, as the provost would say, it caught me maybe left field. We want to call it out of left field. It's like sudden. Because I've been, like you said, I've been chairing the board of trustees for the past 6 years almost. Almost 6 years. It's funny how that happened too. Because I remember when we were appointed to chair the board of trustees, we go like, wow. But we took on the challenge, and several innovative things were done by the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees is responsible for the academic affairs of the university. Of course, we work very closely with our distinguished provost, Dr. Eve Eard, in implementing the programs and the teaching and the curriculum of the institution, right? But chairing the board, there are several new things that we start to do, and bridges that we start to create, so as to have a more dynamic working relationship between the board of trustees, the board of directors, and the entire student body. So we had to work on that, and I think we were very successful at that, in getting a better understanding of how. And better cohesion amongst everyone, getting everybody to be on the same page with regards to the development and the moving forward of the university. So I think that was something that we achieved. The board of trustees were very stable during these 6 years. Very stable, and provided the guidance and what that the university wanted or needed at the time, because it was coming out of a little. It was like but we finally set it on a course, the correct course. So
if I could say, just interject and
yeah, please go ahead.
I think what has happened over the past 6 years and is that we've built a solid foundation that we can take off on. And during that time there was tremendous growth in the university. But I think one of the things that is most impressive about my board of trustees is that they are committed to Galen and to the mission of Galen and what Galen does for the university. What they're doing, the time on the board, the commitment on the board, the advice that they have given me, the support, the oversight, because they really they are responsible for the academic governance of the institution, comes from a deep place of a commitment and a love of Belize, and what this institution is doing for Belize and will continue to do for Belize. And I think that's really important. We have people on the board of trustees who are long-time members of the board.
I think it's important to look at the structure. So because earlier we talked about Dr. Avila being on the board of trustees, you're the provost, now we have the president, all these different roles. Maybe you could bring it together.
And board of directors.
Yeah.
And board of directors.
Yeah, so
well, Doc, you go ahead and do that.
I think I'm unusual. I have, before we had a president, I report to the chairman of the board of trustees, and I report also to the chairman of the board of directors.
Right.
Okay.
2 or 3 times a semester, I write a provost report, and that same report is sent to both boards. Because
in quotation, tell us what is a provost. Or as it relates to the university as a terminology.
She's responsible for all the academic affairs of the
But just for viewers and listeners who may not know what the meaning means.
Essentially, I'm the chief executive officer of the university.
Okay.
And I I report, but as I said, I report to both. I'm responsible for the academic integrity of the institution, reporting to the Board of Trustees and being guided by the Board of Trustees on that. Dr. Avila has had a career in higher education and development, so his role, and he has sat on the Quality Assurance Committee or the Academic Affairs Committee for the Board of Trustees. With that expertise, and being the chairman of the Board of Trustees now, and with his background in higher education, that whole role will be enriched. But I am in charge of the marketing activity of the university, which my team is always on Love FM. Thank you very much. And the student affairs activity, the registration processes. While the chairman of the board of directors, who are the original investors in the university, who created this university, who saw the potential and the need and developed it, invested and created it, built it, and will continue to support its development. I report to the board of directors. I also report to the board of directors, but the chairman of the board of directors provides some financial oversight, but collaborating with me and our finance team, of course. So,
the president is caught up in the middle, right? As the person that ultimately guides the university.
But I will wash coffee cups and clean down the kitchen counter and so on.
So be the case,
and serve maintenance. At Galen University. We do everything everybody does everything necessary to build the university. We may have titles and so on, but we're a team.
It's a team. It's more a team that we work together, right?
But on this side, of course, we will.
We need to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more.
So usually I'm the one saying that.
Well, I'm saying it this morning. We need to take a break.
Yeah, and that's why she have a similar color like you.
So we take that break. We'll be back.
Yes, and we're back. And like I said, it's 4 minutes after 8. If you got to be at work at 8 and you're not there yet, then you're late. You're late. And of course, school is open as well. Ava, all schools are open, including the university, I would presume. Yes. And we have on the couch, of course, we're talking with leadership of Galen University. One of the most recognized names in academia in Belize over the last couple of years now, along with
20 years.
Yeah, over the last 20 years or so. It's 20 years, according to Dr. Aird, who is one of the pioneer lecturers at the facility as one part of their faculty. And we were talking before the break about that, kind of getting the idea of how the university is structured, especially as they try to move towards having a much greater footprint in Belize, and then subsequently being able to have that global outreach, as is said in their mission statement. But there was some clarity that you wanted to tell us, Dr. Avila, in terms of now you being the chair of the Board of Trustees, and how that works, as well as the Board of Directors. What's the difference between those persons, their role, and then basically what would be the role of the president now that one is now established, 9 years in the making, but we're here now.
So we get things very much in sequence. Let me ask Dr. Aird to speak about the Board of Directors.
Okay, beautiful.
The overall management of the university.
Okay. We have a board of directors of about 7 people. 4 of those 7 people are the original investors of the university. And then we have 2 Malaysians appointed and 1 American who are on the board of directors. The board of directors is primarily responsible for the financial and administrative oversight, anything that is non-academic. And so the identification of staff members, the need for those staff members, salary setting, if new programs are developed, if a new program is being developed and it will require some financial investment, the Board of Trustees would forward the program after looking at its and approving its academic integrity of the program, establishing a need. If there's an investment, for example, if we need to invest in a science lab, the Board of Directors would become involved.
Okay.
The Board of Directors ensures the development, the structural, the physical, the financial development of the university. So, for example, one of our dreams is, well, not one of our dreams, one of our strategic goals that we will realize is the building of a new campus.
Okay.
The Board of Directors will work with the President, and he will talk about that later on, on that, and the President and his team on the development of that campus. And they have been working on that for the past several years. But the day-to-day management of the university, the day-to-day academic governance of the programs, the ensuring the transparency in the appointment of staff, faculty teaching in programs and so on, that's the purview of the Board of Trustees, and he will talk about that.
Yes, and the Board of Trustees works more or less interdependently of the Board of Directors.
Okay.
Because we also have our own mandate.
Okay.
And it is threefold. One of them is to ensure that the vision and the mission of the university is always updated and is in the context of the national development priorities and objectives, what the people of Belize want and what the different sectors need. As you know, the vision is having some high-level goal, maybe in the medium and long term, that the university can aspire to reach. And the mission is more related to how it relates to its constituencies. Who uses the graduates of the university? And that would be the government, the private sector, other organizations, and all the productive sectors involved in Belize, right? So we would like to contribute. And therefore, the second objective of the board is always to be well cognizant and to maintain a good understanding of what are the priorities in the social, economic, as well as the political needs of the country. And how is it that a university can provide to those needs the human resources and human capital, we say, that we need to produce in the university. And we have to spend some time in understanding this, otherwise the university will not have relevance. It's going to produce students who will not be able to find a job in all the sectors of the national development agenda. And thirdly is to ensure this quality of the programs, right? And therefore we have to promote academic excellence, and we have to review those programs. We have to review all the academic programs and the supporting projects or activities that the university is involved to ensure that the quality of programs are at the standards that are required. And I say quality should be measured in terms of relevance, specifically what I was explaining before. And quality is also measured in the kind of values, in the knowledge or wisdom, and the skills and abilities that graduates should be able to demonstrate immediately upon graduation, at certain levels, depending on what levels they're going to. So in brief, I could say that the board should desire to know how well the students are learning these different things that they're supposed to learn in the different programs, and so that when they graduate, they can get a job, gainful employment. They will develop themselves in a personal way, as citizens, as fathers, as leaders, whatever areas that they would like to specialize in. And most importantly, we say the vision is always related, and this is the role of the university to contribute to improving the productivity, competitiveness, resilience, and inclusiveness of the Belizean society. And that is what we mean in the mission by saying sustainable development. It includes all these components of sustainability. Because we have to be on the cutting edge of things.
And then in there is the president.
Yes.
That now has a role now to...
The president is the overall coach.
Yeah.
He's the technical coordinator.
So maybe you could elaborate a bit about your role.
How would you understand your role based on your job description and so on?
Like what you have just said, all that is good. But my job really now is to bring all that together so the university progresses in its service to Belize and beyond, right? I have to contribute to the development and ensure that let me just go to what is expected here.
Your job description?
The job description. To contribute towards the development and ensure the implementation of the university's strategic aims, objectives, and related policies in support of the university's mission, which was clearly established a while ago. To maintain a culture of excellence across all sectors of the university and ensure that they remain focused on the university's mission.
Okay.
Right? To maintain and develop an effective working relationship with the governing authority, with the Galen Board of Directors and the Board of Trustees. So really, that working relationship with the Board of Trustees and the Board of Directors, I will have to make sure that there's that coordination between both. The bridge between both. So I will know what they are doing, I will know what the directors are doing. Right? Are saying. Right? To foster existing partnerships and forge new ones, right? To maintain a culture of excellence across all sectors of the university and ensure that they remain focused on the university's mission. To provide direction and guidance to all sectors of the university, and in particular to lead and manage the performance of the university's executive, so as to ensure the effective and efficient management of the university and all its resources, right? To maintain and reinforce the positive role played by the student community and alumni in achieving the university's goals and mission. To act as the primary ambassador of the university to a wide range of partners and the public generally, so as to increase its profile nationally and internationally. To lead the advancement of the university through fundraising activities and the development of relationships with local and international partners, including the business, commercial, cultural, and voluntary sectors, and to enrich the university's contribution to local, regional, national life and society, and to promote positive social change in all the university's functions. And that's a
wide range of responsibilities.
Really bridging everything together and moving it forward.
But like you're being the former chairman of the Board of Trustees, you kind of
I'm familiar with the work of the Board of Trustees.
And so do you think it makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of envelope yourself in the role that you're taking on compared to maybe somebody just totally alien to the university?
Well, I still sit as an ex-official member on the Board of Trustees.
Okay.
So I will still be a part of the Board of Trustees. I sit as an ex-official member along with the provost. So we'll always know what the thinking of the Board of Trustees. And then now having an insight with the Board of Directors, because of the position of president, then I'm able to bridge everything together and move the university forward externally and internally, and make sure that the mission and the objectives of the university are properly implemented.
One of the things, maybe Dr. Avila, you can speak on this. He spoke about the wide range of responsibilities that he now holds as the president of the university. The Board of Trustees and the Board of Directors and everybody, they've placed their confidence in his appointment. Maybe you could share why you feel or why the board felt that this was the best appointment.
Thank you, Ms. Ava. That's a good question. I think we did not participate in his selection as the president. However, when we heard that he's being considered, there's always information through the grapevines.
Of course.
Thank you for the
directors. Heard that he was appointed. We felt very confident that Rene, I've been working with him a couple of years now in this with Galen University, but before, in Police Watch and other programs we have had, I have known Rene, and I thought this was an excellent selection, because though he may not be too strong on the academic areas, but he knows a lot about academics, having been the chairman of the Board of Trustees. I thought the man is a very good leader. And a leader is one who has a team of people. And the leader has a vision, and the man has a vision. I thought the man has sort of like a Midas touch in this regard. Everything he touches, whether it's Love FM or the Rotary Club or, he gets things done.
Colby Foundation, the Scout Foundation.
He can get done. Right?
That is the love, no?
Yes, he'll get the job done. So I figured with him, You can't go wrong, right? Secondly, another very important attribute I consider about him, he's very nationalistic. He worries about Belize, right? And probably in terms of knowing what Belize is, culturally, economically, technically, people-wise, everything, around the whole country, possibly Rene is one of the most well-informed persons because of his programs, right?
Yeah, right.
He's well-informed. So if Belize wants a good university to be focused on its needs and its problems, he will be the right man at the right time, right? We need to do this.
The years of delving into all those various areas with the Belize Watch program.
Thirdly,
and now AVA.
Any good program, any good organization, any good university is very good at communication. And Rene excels in this. It's about language, right? English, Spanish, and probably other languages he speaks. But he's very good at communication. You see the success that Galen has had recently? I'm sure Rene has had a lot to do with this because he's always promoting the institution nationally and internationally.
Yeah.
So you see the programs here at Love and the relationship with Galen. We want that connection because university has to speak to the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
It also speaks to the different sectors. It has to speak to the different stakeholders, we say, constituencies that the university have. Those who have the resources, those who have the families and have children, and those who understand the country and what it needs.
Yeah.
The university has to connect.
I'm glad you brought up that point because that's always been a kind of peeve of myself and many persons that our young people or academia tend to be totally removed from what's happening within the realm of the
realities,
society,
the needs
economy.
and the challenges, those are things we should know.
How do we, how is Galen working towards maybe creating more involvement? You know, we always say we look at other jurisdictions, other societies, and we see a lot of things, changes occur with the young people, them being at the forefront, especially the academic component of the group, the leading the charge, doing research, putting out information. I don't get the sense, and even when I was a lecturer, I don't get the sense that persons are kind of putting themselves out there and going out there to kind of make a difference, whether it's by disseminating information or just making a determination on something. How do you see Galen that
I think you bring up a good point, Troy, and just before we came into this room, Dr. Avila and I were having this very same conversation. A huge concern of mine is that our young people are, I think, I don't know how to say it. I think they are apathetic. They are apathetic.
Okay.
I'm not saying that my students are, but I think that generally our young people are apathetic, and maybe it might be because they don't see change happening as quickly as they might want it. Maybe it's more emphasized now. We see it more now because of the pandemic and the students that we have entering the university and junior college system, the higher education system, have spent 2 or 3 years practically before in the pandemic. Maybe we're a traumatized nation, maybe our young people, because of their involvement with social media, the heavy connection to these devices. I think there are a bunch of reasons. At Galen, one of the things that we've done over the past, about 2 years ago, we created a post of the Director of Research, and we hired, I think, a renowned researcher, Dr. Filiberto Penados, to build that research culture for us. And apart from doing simulating research among the faculty, one of his tasks is also to build a research culture within the student body, and setting good standards of research for the university and ensuring that it's connected and spread across our classes. And of course with AI and everything like that, you also have to be very, very careful. And so our academic policies are being revised to ensure that plagiarism and the use of AI in student papers is minimized, but also to ensure that we teach students to use AI properly, ethically, as a tool that helps them, but it's not to do their assignments for them. As well, we try to build a co-curricular life on campus. That student life on campus, we're trying to develop that so that it supports our academic programs. So, for example, we have an environmental science club, and students within our environmental science club participate in some ongoing reforestation activities out at the Belize Botanic Gardens run by Judy Deploy. What they are doing there is connected to some work being done by the University of Edinburgh, and they're actually helping to collect forest seedlings, develop a forest nursery, and we will be developing a forest nursery on our campus that we can transplant some of the trees that are endangered and so on up to the site of our new campus. So we try to involve students in things that are happening. Maybe we need to do a better job of publicizing what we're doing, but our students are engaged. Our anthropology club students are actively engaged with anything having to do with related to anthropology, whether it's Sokot's Day, or I think there's something that they do in Cristo Rey in San Antonio. Anthropology Day, they have anthropology in the park, in San Ignacio Town, where they work with kids and teach them about the field of anthropology and the culture and so on. Very frequently, different ministries and different organizations in town will ask us for students who will intern with them, unpaid internships, but it supports their academic development. So they will, whether it is with the Ministry of the Blue Economy or other ministries and private sector bodies, NGOs, we have them doing that. But I think that there's a lot more work to be done, not only at Galen, but across our and maybe it is also, this reflects how a Chalk and Talk approach to teaching, where students, we don't, in our classrooms from ABC right up, we don't encourage students to ask questions and think for themselves and even disagree with us. I think we need to do that more.
You made a point about social media and you know, putting myself in a, if you want to call it, a old school box, where you talk about the Chalk and Talk structure. Now with technology, it's not even a textbook on the desk anymore. It is the phone. It's an e-book. It's a so you don't know if the student is engaged with you as a lecturer. At least that's my feeling. Used to be my feeling.
Yes.
I don't know if it replicates with yourself, but now you have this device in front of them where you don't know what it is that they're observing. You may think they're following you.
That is true. That is true.
And so
might be somewhere else.
And so I kind of want to delve into that discussion of how do the university kind of motivate the student to some extent to kind of stay engaged and involved in terms of the subject matter at hand.
Let me just comment. Very important question, and it's always a challenge for the university, right? To attract good students that will be interested in your program, you knowing well that this program is very relevant to the national development. But the comment about national development is that if you're serious about national development, you need universities. You need university. You can't build nation without university. So that is the first.
Higher learning.
It's a very good assumption. But the second one is that how do you attract the young people to participate in that national development, right? That's the challenge for the university too. It's like they say, if you have not been exposed to some information or some skill or some kind of area that would really attract you, you're not likely to be interested because you don't know about it. So many Belizean youth are like that. They actually have not been exposed. They haven't seen what they could learn, what kind of knowledge is very relevant to what they want to do in their personal growth that they can capture from the university. Because the university, sure, if you live 50 years, you can actually learn as much as a graduate would learn from the university. But the advantage is that that young graduate learns all of that wisdom and all of that information by the age of 20, 21 years old.
Right.
So he's got 30 more years to produce with that knowledge.
Right. Right.
So people who you hear say, oh, I'm 70 years old, I know a lot, I could get a PhD. Great. But if you had that PhD when you were 25, imagine the productivity
that you would have to contribute.
That's right.
and that is
That's
where
a
the
good point.
advantage of a good university is, that they give you relevant knowledge, relevant skills, immediate ways of application. So you go into the labor market and you start to be productive and you start to
Contribute
grow.
immediately.
Universities
By
are
the
agents,
age of
are
50,
leaders, and
by the
agents
age of
change.
50, you should have produced all the wealth and all the benefits and all the success and everything that you deserve as a human being in this country or in this planet. You have produced, you have contributed. But if you don't go to university, you spend all your life learning, but then you don't produce much.
Right.
In terms of competition, and how does the university put itself aside? Because you know they're bombarded now with online courses and all the different technology being utilized now to be able to create the same level of academia qualifications. How does the university
I
separate
won't say
itself?
it's same level. A bachelor's degree is a bachelor's degree, and it's what's the content of that bachelor's degree. And I've seen programs advertised on social media that offer a doctorate in a year and so on. Galen is a Belizean university with a global reach. That's a part of our mission. The programs that we develop here and that we are offering here, whether they are our bachelor degree programs, as associate degree programs, certificate programs, or some professional development courses, or even our master's programs, and those programs are developed to respond to particular needs in Belize.
Okay.
Late last semester, our master's degree in educational leadership was approved by the Belize Board of Teacher Education, and the Board of Trustees subsequently signed off on it. That program was born out of a request by the Ministry of Education about 3 or 4 years ago for us to offer a certificate in educational leadership program for high school leadership, whether they were principals, vice principals, heads of departments, aspiring school leaders. And the program that it was a program offered to us, which we modified so that we added more depth to the program. It was developed for Belize and for the Belizean high school environment. We have subsequently transformed it into a master's educational leadership program, but again addressing things in our environment. Our secondary education programs are distinguished because they have things in it like features in it like trauma-informed and trauma-responsive pedagogy. We have offered professional development courses for high school teachers and school counselors, responding to things that were happening with teachers and that was happening in a classroom as a result of the pandemic. There was a big blow-up of that went all over social media about a teacher having a breakdown.
Right.
At that time we were talking about what our children were going through in the classrooms. We never thought about what was happening with the teacher who was in herself experiencing the pandemic but had to take care of her home, her children, or his children, as well as
the students as well.
the students, you know. So we develop programs that respond to situations. Our certificate in accounting program was developed because people kept calling Dr. Katusa and saying, look, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration, but I have to do this, this, and that at my workplace. Could I come and just take some courses in accounting so that I could be, and so we did that, and the program is recognized by our, what's it called, the Association of, Belize Association of Accountants or Auditors, and so on. So we develop programs that respond. Our Masters in Social Work program, I think Dean Gibbs might have come on the morning show already talking about that program. But these are programs that are responding to specific situations. When we developed the Masters in Social Work program, actually several years ago, the Ministry of Human Development invited us in and said to us, look, we are noticing this, this, and that. Could you develop a program that responds to that, to these needs? So we are a local institution. Yes, we are in a competitive environment. I actually call the online, that's noise in the marketplace. And I need to know that it's out there, but I need to focus on what we are doing on our mission and work towards that.
Okay, so we will need to take a break at 28 minutes before 9 o'clock. When we come back, I know Dr. Eve spoke a bit about the new campus and all that. So when we come back, we'll look on the way forward for Galen University.
Yes, ma'am.
So we take that break, we'll be back.
Yes, and we're back inside the morning show, this 10th day of January, hump day. And it's
your day, Troy.
Yes, of course. Long weekend coming up, Chief. 24 minutes to 9 o'clock. Time flies when we're having fun. I thought we were having such a great discussion as it relates to Galen and the whole academic structure in Belize and where we see ourselves going as it relates to higher education in this country, which is actually what we would consider one of the main drivers of growing our society and then growing our economy as well.
Well, try, as you know, the word education, right, comes from the Latin educare, educere, right? And it means to draw out or to bring out what you have inside of you.
Yes.
And a good education, that's exactly what it does, you know. It transforms you into the best that you can ever be, you know. And that's what a good education does. It draws out what you have within you, right? It doesn't impose on you, but rather makes you that better person.
Yes.
And hence the focus on Galen is to really draw out the best that is in all our Belizeans who pass.
And it's a great mantra to build on because just before the break, I think Ava made the point in terms of the actual going forward. In the discussion, they talk about growing into a new campus and that sort of thing. It adds that sort of feeling because most of the time we want to connect to something that is drawing out all of that best in you that the president spoke about. So give us a little insight of where it is that we see Galen going as it relates to the basic infrastructure that gives you that feeling of self-worth and that feeling of connection. How do we see that going forward in terms of the actual infrastructure of Galen?
Well, that's the purpose to do that since she has been there longer.
Okay.
Right?
Before I answer that question, I just want to share that a collaborator, a partner in the Kaya district just texted me just as we were going to break. My phone buzzed. And he wanted me to be sure to mention that Galen has a track record. We talked a lot about the teaching and the research that we do, but he wanted me to mention that Galen has a commitment to community service, which is, and service is a community outreach is another important role of a university. And this gentleman was speaking specifically of a program that we worked on in San Ignacio, in the San Ignacio Santa Elena area, where we were invited to collaborate with a local community in the local community to offer some 3 or 4 day training program in business, in small business management for women leaders, small women, women entrepreneurs who they might have had small businesses and so on. It was a program, I think, that was invested by the Taiwanese embassy, and one of our business lecturers, along with Dr. Katus, worked on building this 3 or 4 day program, and they spent the time in the community working with these women in small business planning and managing their and whatever business it is that they were involved in, whether it was hair braiding or baking, food preparation and selling of food and so on. That's just one example of what we have done. We've done other things too with the San Ignacio Santa Elena Town Council. and in other communities. But what would make us feel empowered? I have to be honest and say that I feel that Galen, me as the provost of Galen and the university, we feel very empowered by what we are doing because we are having an impact. The need for the new campus is because we have outgrown our space. Right now, we're putting up 2 temporary buildings on campus, one to house, and I'm calling it my starter STEM building, because we're going into STEM education, STEM AI, robotics education. We're moving in that direction. And in particular, Dr. Barrow, who is the head of the Faculty of Education, will especially work with teachers, because the Ministry of Education, that's one of the directions that the Ministry of Education is going, STEM education and competency-based education. So this starter building will house that program. We're also putting up another building, investing in another temporary building which can be moved to house our finance offices. The university does own 98 acres of land in the hills overlooking Central Farm.
Beautiful area.
I call it the beacon on the hill. We are going to be the beacon on the hill, overlooking Belize. And it is a campus that will be built in 3 phases. The first phase will include a student residence, an academic building, classrooms, labs, and so on, an administrative center, a student success center, which will include a library, and of course a cafeteria and an innovation center. It will have a university farm, a small university teaching farm that will feed the cafeteria and the residences. But we want that to be connected to food security and so on eventually. So,
and that's my focus then, Troy and Ava. That's where I've been charged with the development of that university city that the provost is talking about, right? So that's where we will be concentrating a lot of our efforts in building this unique university city for Galen and for Belize, really.
And do you have a, I know we talk about vision and all that, do you have like a time frame that you hope to accomplish? You mentioned 3 different phases.
Yeah, the first phase, we hope that we plan to turn the key on the first phase within 5 years.
Okay.
Within 5 years. But the entire the campus itself, an important part of it is dedicated to an ecology.
A green campus.
It's a green campus. A green campus. It will be a smart campus. It will involve a conservation section.
Almost all aspects of the university.
There are the remains of some Maya structures there that we are preserving. I just had a meeting this week with the Institute of Archaeology to begin the work of getting clearance from the Institute that we will preserve and of course use those structures as a part of our teaching tool. The greenery that we will have, that we will preserve, is going to be a part. It will complement our environmental science programs and even our STEM programs. There will be an energy farm on the solar energy farm on the property as well that will help to, of course, power the university.
Okay.
But again, too, it can be used as a teaching tool.
How much energy is going to, or you think is going to be expended to look? You talk about the global outreach,
right?
In terms of maybe attracting foreign students as well, because that do add viability, more viability as well. How rigorous a program in terms of outreach you think that the university will start to undertake or continue to undertake?
We've already started, Troy, talking to other universities, and maybe the provost could expand
we have
a
a
bit
network
here,
already. We have a network. We have reestablished our. We're working on reestablishing our study abroad program. I have somebody who is appointed as the acting coordinator of that. For the past 2 years, we have had students who have come from Canada to us, and we also send students through the Canadian Bureau of International Education. We have MOUs signed with Canadian universities through which we can send and bring students. But we will be marketing our study abroad programs heavily, and not only bringing students for a short-term program, like for example a week or two for an intensive experience, but also for an entire semester. Galen used to have, any time, we would have about 30 study abroad foreign students spending a semester with us, and we hope to go back
Bring
there.
that back.
Yes.
As we grow as a nation, and Dr. Avila pointed to that quite often in trying to delve in and dovetail everything in with our national policy. And so, how do you garner that information to know that you're on the right track, outside of just the political rhetoric that is you hear? But how do you intertwine yourselves as the now chairman of the board of trustees to fit into what academia, what the economy need, and how that matches with academia?
Thank you for that question. It has to do with what are the outputs of the university and how it is being accepted by our different beneficiaries or constituencies. One of course, is the students, right? What are the students doing with the training after they leave the university? Are they finding jobs? Are they doing very well in their activities, whatever they are? But most importantly, it has to do with the quality of the university and the teaching staff and what they're doing, because whether you're involved in research or outreach or any kind of important activities in the development of the university, you're learning a lot and you're gaining experience. And that is what will attract our connections also with our international partners.
Okay. Somebody says, sorry, Doc, while you're on that, just to, maybe you could just extend upon it. He said, one of the problems I'm seeing, and this is the person who is texting, is our primary and secondary education system outcome. Finance is a major factor that is lacking in our society. So I don't know if you could comment on that. That's just a viewer or a listener making a comment as you're talking about meeting the needs.
That is right, because the question there would suggest that maybe the quality of the resources that Galen will enter Galen are not of the level that you would like.
Very good point.
And I understand where the commentator is coming from, and it is a valid concern, right? Because of the first of all, there's a low quality of students that go from high school, low quantity and quality of students that go from primary school to secondary school. And then from secondary school to university. And if those students are deficient in the basic skills, right, that are required for university work, well, you're in trouble as a university too, because you have to compensate for those weaknesses. Or you have to have courses that will quickly bring you up to the level and speed that they can master whatever they're being presented with. So that is a very, very good concern that we should have, right? It is one of the weaknesses, I guess, of our schools, that they're losing some focus. The quality of education may not be as good, and they have to tighten up, and they have to improve their focus, their resources, their programs, so that they also can deliver good students at that level of training.
We're always accused, I mean, for all the years that I've been here, we're always accused, and sometimes we see coming out very clearly that we're not a quantitative society. And that is what drives everything. It drives the phone, it drives everything that we do, stock markets, and so we're not a quantitative society. We don't seem to have a serious impact or value for money. Where do you see the university going as we talk about building the campus, and we all know you can't snap your finger for that to happen. So where do we see how we can elevate? I know we talk about the quality coming in, but how as a university we can elevate our people to a level that there's a greater appreciation for quantitative subjects and areas?
That is very important now in the new developments of our economy, our different social sectors too. The planning, execution, evaluation, and overall performance of the institutions financially and the other terms are very important for survival, right? If not sustainability, which is very important too. And therefore, we have to be better at our figures and our numbers, right? Otherwise, we could end up in disaster.
Because the question always, how we pay for it?
How we are paying for it.
We're
You know.
building.
And that is why, like
Applying
the
public
provost
business
was explaining, and this is the role of the president, that those who manage the academic programs and the strategies and the visions and etc. have to be very much in close contact and working as a team, with those who are managing the money, right?
Yeah.
Because success comes from these two basic pillars, right?
Yeah.
In a university.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
And the third important is the community, which we should do more of, right? So that we have the complete then system that we can work well.
Yes,
But
indeed.
so in our society as well, you know, and I could say that in general, and I agree with the caller, that people have to be good at communication, they have to be good in their finances and their basic maths. You don't have to be too advanced, but you have to know maths and finances, right? And most importantly, you have to have the discipline to stick to your objectives,
Yeah.
so that you can achieve something in life.
And you got to dream, and you got to visualize, and you got to see
But-
things happening and move towards it.
Yes.
Right?
But underlining all of that, of course, is the capacity to generate the wealth or the benefits that you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
And that is
absolutely.
where the university has an important contribution
I
to
think
make.
Dr. Aird, you wanted to add something?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking back because I think the caller was speaking to the secondary education.
Yeah,
and
it says like the
I was thinking
foundation
back
is
to when-
weakened, so
When I was a high school principal, I was a high school principal for about 6 years, between 2008 and 2014 December.
I used to go interview that.
Yes, we did a
You did a several
Did you
shows
do
a 50th
together.
anniversary show on the Sacred Heart College when I was the president.
Yeah.
I remember the intense, the stress of meeting paydays at the time because of how high schools were funded.
right.
And there's always you have to meet. There's an end of
30%.
month salary that you have to meet for 100 employees because I ran both a junior college and a high school, a large high school.
Yeah.
And one of the, and then you also had to provide the computers that were needed, the library, the science equipment, and so on. And education is expensive.
Right.
It's expensive. So, as a high school principal, as a provost or the dean of a junior college, you have to know how to read those numbers and understand those numbers properly, and balance those numbers with the teaching classes, the size of teaching classes, how many hours of instruction my junior college faculty would teach each week, so that because if they taught 3 classes, then I have to go hire 2 adjuncts to pay outside. There's that need to balance money with quality. If I'm overburdening my staff, if I'm not providing them with the resources, then the business of the school, I'm going to the product, the quality of the
product is
product
going
will
to
go
be
down.
compromised.
So those are, I think those are challenges that school leaders face on a daily basis.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is being able to access grant funding from within Belize. We're a small country, and funding for research and funding for in introducing new programs and so on. That's a challenge.
It's an
But
investment.
every challenge is an opportunity for us to grow and become better. So-
That's how we view challenges. We go from challenges.
One of the key values I see in the youth, the new youth of Belize, is that they don't realize the value of time. You waste one day, you waste 1 week, or you waste a whole year. And how much is that worth to you?
Reese said time is money.
Time is money.
Yeah.
In fact, you talk about education is expensive.
Think
Not
about
being
not
able
having
to
it.
do anything
It's
is
more expensive. More expensive. That is true.
Yeah.
because you will not produce what you think you should produce in your lifetime. So 1 week or 1 year wasted is, especially when you're young, It's an expensive proposition.
As it relates to the global outreach, very quickly, as it relates to the global outreach, how quickly do you see the whole issue of accreditation in terms of setting up the accreditation board in Belize and that sort of thing? How quickly and who has their finger on the pulse for that? Because I think it then adds more credibility, and then more credibility means that you could probably attract more students, mean more revenue, more income.
I anticipate the establishment of the board happening this year.
Okay.
And the development of all the instruments and the standards, and because the accreditation council, the act requires all schools must be registered.
Okay.
And in order for me to register Galen with the council will have to establish a set of standards that I must meet.
Right.
And then later on there will be another set of standards for institutions and programs to be accredited. So to develop all of those will take some time, but I would imagine it would be done within a 5-year period.
Great. That's a reasonable time.
But I would stress that all the Belizean institutions, we have all of us have been educated in Belize. We've gone abroad to study our programs and our associate degrees and bachelor's degrees and so on have been accepted, and our students have done well for themselves.
Absolutely.
Some have stayed abroad, some of us have come back home. And I think that more than a piece of paper that says that we are accredited, I think that the quality of what we do and our contributions to building Belize is what speaks for itself.
Excellent.
So it looks like we're trending in the right direction, is what you're saying.
Yes.
There's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yes.
But we're headed the right way.
We will continue to evolve. And even when we get accredited, we'll have to maintain that accreditation,
right.
and so on. So yes.
We are in the right direction, but there are many challenges,
Right.
opportunities as well, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Of course.
And everything we have mentioned with the board, we are doing it, but we yet have to reach a higher level.
Well, bottom line is that we remain committed, that we'll ensure that our students whom we serve, because we have to serve our students, really, right, enjoy not only a great learning experience, but are equipped with the skills that will last a lifetime and will be better equipped to fulfill the challenge to make our beloved country Belize a better place for all of us. That's the whole thing in the service, serving Belize, serving our country.
I get the sense that you wrapping
we're wrapping up, but we need to go to each of you for some closing comments, because this is a discussion that will continue, because as you mentioned, Galen has been able to navigate for the past 20 years at least, and so the work is not done. You're just meeting a new challenge, and so like I said, this is not the last time you'll be seated on that couch, so we'll go to you for some closing comments. We'll start with you, Dr. Avila.
I think with the new leadership team that we have, first of all, we should work as a team, right?
We are a team.
Right.
So I am all in favor of that, and I will make sure that we do work as a team from our perspective. But most important, it is to be able to realize those important objectives and strategies that we have in mind and that we are putting into operation slowly but surely, so that we can serve the young people of Belize more effectively in whatever their goals are, right? In whatever they want to do, so that they become better contributing members of our society, and that they can play their role in the development, social, political, and economic better levels of standards and achievement for Belize. And that always has to be in our important mission.
Of course. Dr.
Can I ask the president to go before me?
Well, yeah, on this occasion, we'll accept that.
Okay, Mr. President.
On this occasion, well, in my mind, Galen will remain committed to continue leading the way forward in quality education, in line with our mascot. Galen's mascot is the Harpy Eagle, right? And why I say that is because the eagle is seen as a symbol of beauty, bravery, courage, honor, pride, determination, and grace and strength. Now, you check all of that out. Beauty, bravery, courage, honor, pride, determination, grace, and strength. And those are the qualities of the eagle, and those are the qualities that we are committed to ensuring that our students whom we serve are imbued with. A great learning experience that will equip them with the skills that will last a lifetime, right? And we'll do our part in moving this university forward. We'll do our part in establishing the university city, and like was pointed out, to make sure that we continue ever moving forward in the interest of Belize and our fellow Belizeans. So it's with great humility that we accept this position as president of this wonderful institution, because it is a wonderful institution, it is a great institution, it has a great faculty, right? And like everything else that I handle, I've always approached it from the standpoint of the understanding that is reflected in the poem that was written by my grandfather, which has guided my life throughout. And the poem he wrote way back in the 1920s or 1930s, which I always maintain close to me. And those who know me know that I will always try to bring out this poem because I think it embodies what success is all about, right? And to succeed at what you're doing, and it calls for the best in each of us. Each of us should be giving our best. It is, if what you have done is all you could the best, then you be content and leave to God the rest. Things fluctuate, nor joy nor sorrow stays. Oft changing scenes and changing moods amaze. But he or she who learns that in all things there is good, that passing failures are strengthening food, will climb the hill, though his or her defeats confess, and push through all to sweet success. Really a simple formula, and I try to share that formula as much as I can, because that's an understanding of what life is all about. It's ups and downs, right? But we give our best.
The downs and up are all experiences.
And all experiences that we learn from, right? Lifelong learnings, right? So with that, I thank Mr. Kostas Karanikis and the Board of Directors of Galen University for the confidence they have placed in me. It's an awesome responsibility, one that I approach with great humility and understanding that I have to learn more, because it's a new field for me, right? But I accept it with great humility, and I accept the challenge and embrace the opportunity to move Galen forward and so contribute to the continued development of the country I love so much, for which I would give my life for, which is my country, Belize. Long live Galen University, long live Belize.
Well, from all this, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
On your appointment. Dr.
On the 1st of January, his appointment became effective. And a few days later, the Board of Trustees elected unanimously Dr. Abla to be the chair. I think that this was a wonderful way to begin this new year. It breathed new life, new energy into the university and into our strategic direction, the path that we must follow. Many years ago, when I was doing my doctoral studies at Boston College, I was in a class, I think there were only foreigner in a class of other higher education majors. And they asked me if I was going to remain in the States after I earned my degree and work there. And I said no. I had good things waiting for me back home, and that and not too long after that, I went to work at Galen, and when Galen was admitted into the Consortium on Belize Education Corporation, a colleague from Western Kentucky University said, "What a privilege you have to have taken a part in first helping to build the University College of Belize, which of course is now the University of Belize, but also to be working on from the ground floor up on the building of a new university in this small developing country." And that is an extraordinary privilege that I don't think that many people, other than my team at Galen, and we have a wonderful team on the ground working at Galen. We have a board of directors that is heavily committed to Belize and to this institution. We have the chairman of the board of trustees, who is a strong academic and who has worked in the field of development. And I think of Galen University as being a natural partner in development with the government of Belize and the private sector. And of course, we now have a president who is a servant leader. He loves this country. He is a successful businessman, and he is a committed servant leader. It's no accident that his own organization is called Love. He leads with love. And if you read John Gardner and other books on leadership, that servant leadership is one of the most essential qualities that a successful organization must have. And so I think that we are in a good place. And you don't take your eyes off of Galen. We're going places with this team.
All right.
We certainly wish you all the best. Certainly.
Well said.
Thank you very much, Dr. Avila, Dr. Aird, and of course, Dr. Villanueva.
Of course.
Thank you for stopping in. And
Thank
as
you
I
too.
said, I'm sure we'll
Thank you for having us.
be
Thanks for
chatting
having
some
us.
more.
Thank you for having us, please.
It's 7 minutes after 9, and of course we'll say our goodbyes. I certainly want to say thank you first to Karen Coote for being on Love FM this morning. I want to thank our producer, Manuela Ayuso, our master control operator, William Usher, and Andrew Jones for streaming. Certainly want to thank all our callers this morning that made it interesting in the early part of the show. Our guests as well from Galen as well. Congratulations again to Dr. Villanueva on his appointment. And certainly want to thank our viewers and listeners throughout the length and breadth of this beautiful jewel of ours that we call home. And for you who are in the diaspora streaming, we certainly want to thank you for joining us, and we hope that this morning discussion was very engaging and informative. And we say, as usual, to you, come back again tomorrow, where we hope to do this all over again just for you.